1, 2, 3, 4, 75. Good job. 77, 78, 79, 80.
315. Keep moving. You're about 2 seconds too slow at that 200.
Mighty Mike.
Good job. 325.
Come on, Steinbrenner.
You're 1 second behind. You're 1 second behind where you need to be. Out of the way, Alec.
So long, Coach.
Hey, see you, Coach.
We won the meet, right?
Yeah, girls won the meet. Yeah,
Well, congratulations. Congratulations, girls. Nick, you were tremendous. You were tremendous for a throw-in guy in there. You paced it out good and ran smart and ran tough. Now I know you can run a better half mile than what you've been running. But you were tremendous.
I'll see you Friday.
See you Friday.
See you Friday.
So long, Coach. See you Friday.
Thank you.
See you Friday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sure.
One-on-one with Dr. Bob. I'm with the legendary Coach Brent Haley out of Largo High School back when he was coaching actively, now helping out at Steinbrenner. Coach, thanks for talking to us.
It's my pleasure.
You know, I got to tell you, we got the Florida Relays coming up this weekend. Go back to 1979, 1980. I was a junior in high school, and I will never forget seeing Basil McGee run the anchor leg of the 4x1 at the Florida Relays at high noon. That memory is still with me today. You know, Coach, you had the passion back then, and I think it's safe to say you still have the passion now.
I do. I've got that, but I had great runners. I mean, there's a lot of people who could have done what I did with those kind of kids.
Well, what have you been doing? I know that we've had a chance to see the great series that Gary Cohen and Jason Byrne did. It looks like you're still back into coaching just a little bit with the kids from Steinbrenner. Well, you enjoying the heck out of that?
I love it. I was out of coaching for like 6 or 7 years when I retired at Largo High. Then I came back and worked with the distance runners in track in 2002 and 2003. And then I retired, and then I was out of coaching until last year. And my granddaughter was in middle school as a 6th grader, and I always knew she could be a runner. And I'll have to brag on my granddaughter because last year she ran in the regular meet, she ran 2:48, and this year she ran 2:36 to break the school record by 7 seconds. So that was one of the biggest thrills I've had. I've had so many thrills with so many good guys, and of course she's a 7th grader now. She just turned 13, so but she's not very fast, and I'm trying to get her to be a miler down the road. But it's hard to talk to these young kids into doing that someday. But anyway, that's what got me back into it. And then Coach Ennis, Bobby Ennis, is one of the best coaches this state's ever seen. He can coach anything. He's a hurdle coach over there. Somehow he can coach anything. He's a hurdle coach, and that's our main strength. And I'm one of the distance coaches. I coach with Dean Robertson, and I give them some workouts. And I'm only, because I was with middle school, I'm only with them like 1 or 2 days a week, sometimes 2 days a week before we started the middle school season. So it's not like I'm there all the time, but they have as good a group of kids. I'm not talking about talent, but as good a group of kids as I've ever been around at that school. So it's just fun for me going over there and working with these kids. I mean, we're not killing anybody, but we're trying.
You know, it was really interesting because I got here right around the beginning of the 3200. And I don't know if you heard, but we had a great 3200 up at FSU over the weekend. I heard
that Parrish from Chamberlain was the 6th in like 909. If that's what I heard, right?
6 guys under 910, Coach. Here we are, 2010. Let's go back to the late 70s, early 80s here in Florida. Would you think that, you know, these times, 6 under 910, would hold up with the heyday back in the 70s and the 80s?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my memory's not that good, but I can't remember a race there was 6 under 910, with the possible exception of the Golden South in, I believe it was 1988. Pat McDonough was in that race, and that was the 2 mile was the highlight of the meet, and I believe they were running I could be wrong, but I think they were running 3,000 meters, and they had about 8 or 9 guys, but these weren't Florida guys. In this race here, I think they were all Florida guys.
Every single one of those.
That race there, they had tons of guys that have broken 9 minutes in 2 miles. And I remember that race. Pat was second. Pat, his senior year in '87, he won the mile, won the 2 mile, was state cross country champion, but he wasn't fast, so I knew he had to lead because there's about 20, 25 mile-an-hour winds, which is the worst thing you can do when you have to lead. He had no choice because he's only a 55-second quarter miler. So that's a race I remember, and that was the only race. Of course, it wasn't the same distance, but you know, I'm not even positive it was 3,000 meters. I just think it was, and that's the only race I can remember comparable to the one you're talking about in Tallahassee. I didn't see it, I wasn't there, but I mean, with all Florida kids, I don't think there's ever been a race that good.
The last lap was just unbelievable. I'd really like to get your impressions, and if you can, maybe seek out that race on the internet. It's up on distancepreps.com. You can go back and watch the race. You know, I got here, like I said, right around the 3,200. The passion is still there, Coach. I heard you coaching every one of those athletes out there. Tell me about the team that you've got right now, the distance kids that you're working with.
They're all young kids that a lot of them are ninth graders, and we don't have any seniors in the school. And last year was their first year of cross country, and if they can get a lot more mileage in cross country and get their cross country going, these kids can do a lot of good things. But as I said, this was the first year, and they're running against far more experienced teams, and it's going to take a while. As I know, you know, and anybody with distance, you just don't do it overnight. And it all depends on what kind of cross country season they have as to how good these kids eventually become.
Yeah. Tell me about those twins. I got a chance to see their finish today in the race.
That'd be Tyler and Zach Lima. There's a lot of kids that are my favorite kids, but I'd have to say these are my favorite kids on this team as much as anybody. They're little ninth graders that I can't tell apart. I've got two others that are half milers and malers, the Sarver twins. I can't tell them apart either. And they coming out of cross country, we had a time trial. I didn't have anything to do with cross country, but we had a time trial at the end of cross country in a mile, and they ran 5:39 and 5:43 in that time trial, which, of course, anybody knows it's not that good. And right now they run 11:05 and 11:06, and they just remind me of so many little kids that became really good at Largo High that started out kind of where they are. They'll do anything you tell them, and they try, and they got guts, and they'll try to run even pace, which we're trying to run, and I just love the little guys. They could have run a little better today, but there's always a lot of could have been running a little better. But they ran good. They ran good. They ran good for what they are. And they can be really good someday because they want to, and they'll do what it takes when they fire the gun.
Well, I think if they have you looking over their shoulders, they're going to get a lot better. And I saw the passion out there. I saw it in your runners, and I obviously know where it starts. It starts with you. So thanks for all your years. We look forward to seeing you at many more track meets.
Well, thank you very much. And I'd like to mention one thing. I work with Dean Robertson at Steinbrenner. He does every bit as much or more than me because I kind of give him the workouts, and he's there way more. Now, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. I mean, they got a lot of good coaches at Steinbrenner. Coach Ennis is the best coach. Coach Ennis is better than me as the cross-country coach, and he coaches the hurdlers. He's one of the best hurdle coaches in the state. So we're trying and doing the best we can.
You know, in the short time that I was here, I had a chance to meet you, got a chance to meet Coach Robertson, Coach Ennis, Coach Boza, Coach Harrison. We got a lot of good talent at the coaching level in this state.
Yeah, and our head girls coach is Ladd Baldwin, and I think the girls want to meet today. He's into it. He's enthusiastic, and it's still fun. We all work together pretty good, and it's a lot of fun.
Sure is. Thanks, Coach. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.